three. And we are live.
Map, map.
Modeling School. Welcome to the Fanboy Modeling School. I am the Fat Mantis. I'm here with my man
Steve. Real name, no gimmicks.
And we are both in HD. How the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How the hell are you?
I'm self-righteous. I'm fired up, and I'm ready to give it to these motherfuckers.
Yeah, you are, man. Yeah. Well, I won't call you self-righteous, but you're definitely fired up. We had a little pregame before getting in to the show in the green room before we started. But before we get started, and I beat my buddy to it, folks, make sure you type this into your personal web browser of your choice, RizRadio.com, home for independent radio with talented contributors and the music you love to listen to, man. Go check us out over there or anywhere you enjoy internet radio, man. You got the Riz himself, owner, proprietor. You got Steve, real name, no gimmicks, and a host of other talented hosts breaking it down and keeping it real, man.
Yo, I love you, brother. No mo.
Mm.
What, is that not cool anymore? We can't say that.
No, you can say no mo, but I thought you were about to say something else, man. Like,
but no. But no, I'm here for it. So, yo, before we get into the cover story, before we get into the thing that enrages me, got me started. I think it got you started as well.
Right.
What else is going on? You got any honorable mentions?
I mean, so yeah, let's get the other stuff out the way first and foremost, man. Here's the deal, right? The Acolyte season finale is tonight, man.
Tonight.
We fought the good fight. Those of us that have been enjoying the show, we've waded into waters, debating with people, trying to convert the minds of others, sway their opinion, try to be objective here over at Fanboy. And I'm going to say they fumbled the bag last week, even though I enjoyed the episode. I got to be honest, man. We spent way too much time in the past, but we'll see how they wrap this up. There's some murmurs and chattering that there will be a season 2, and already the war has reignited itself because it sounds like the showrunner, according to some people, and just to the fault of her own with her very evasive language, might start messing with things that are very important to the lore itself. Now we're talking about real important stuff. We're not talking about Monday or
you feel so far.
Huh?
Like, have you spotted something? You've heard a rumor about tonight.
No, not about tonight. I'm talking about next season. Next season, she might start messing with some lore.
But why? Why would
this?
Where did you get this?
Oh, so I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. Leslie Headling, or whatever her name is, did an interview with some portly woman that's a contributor that's going back and forth with Star Wars theory, and she talked about if they got to continue to tell the story, right? And she used some evasive language. It's a long interview, man. She used some very evasive language. And look, I'm just putting her on the hook for what she's saying, man. People are worried that she's going to start messing with very important lore.
Well, there's no evidence of that. This is almost like Donald Trump. Everyone assumes they know what he's going to do, except the only example of what he's done is nothing with what they say. Like, everyone's like, internment camps. They're going to take away gay marriage. Oh, you're going to burn the street. And I'm like, he didn't do that when he was the president first time, right?
We'll see. So go ahead.
In this case, I think Leslie Headland has been amazing with the lore.
Right.
Here's what it is. She creates drama.
Uh-huh.
This might be on purpose. She walks the line where someone's like, they're about to break lore. Canon is destroyed.
Right,
And at the end of the day, it's not, right? It's always an over exaggeration.
But that argument goes both ways, right? Because she has walked the line. And here's the thing, right? I have a vested interest in this, in the fact that I thought this season was good. But you and I are gonna have a fundamental disagreement on the way that she writes stories, right? And in fact, I have enough evidence from other talented people who've written seasons where the season has a beginning, it has an arc, and that season concludes unless it's going to be an ongoing thing, right? So you and I had a private conversation where you said that's just good TV. You keep them wanting more, right? You keep them wanting more. Here's my fundamental issue with that, right? Each season can be its own story. And this season, thus far, the story has not lived up to the name of the show. Now, I'm willing to let it pass, right? I'm willing to let it pass because I've enjoyed the ride thus far. But we are no closer to any deeper understanding of the direction of the show, period. And that's that goes to your point. That goes to your point.
So I do agree with you on several levels. Here's what it is. I agree. I do agree that a season the major storylines should be wrapped up by the end, but you do have to have a cliffhanger and leave people wanting more so that they ask for more. So they say, Disney,
absolutely,
give me more Acolyte.
Yeah, absolutely. But
you're right. If it ends, there's like 10, she's already has like 20 questions on the board. If there's 10 dangling at the end of this episode, I would argue she has not done her job.
Yes. Now, in regards to her messing with lore, what people are suspecting is going to happen, and notice I use the word people and suspect, use those words, is that she's going to start messing with the Sidious and Plagueis storyline and delving into waters that maybe are too deep for her shallow understanding of Star Wars.
I think she has a better understanding than most people. I think she has probably like a better understanding than even say, like, dare I say it, theory.
There it is.
You know what I love? This is a great tweet. Someone had an image of him flipping out, and he's just like, what about this? This doesn't make any sense. And then the tweet is somebody retweets him and says, I thought your name was Star Wars Theory. You got a theory for us, bro? and that's the thing. And I realized he doesn't do theories. He just flies off the handle and makes assumptions. Here's what it is. Most of the times people have accused this show of going against canon. They don't even know the full story. They see one little inkling of something in an episode and they jump to all these conclusions. Even the idea that these girls are born without a father and by the Force, we don't even know if that's true.
Yeah.
Nothing's been confirmed about this, right?
And that's the problem. We don't know what's true. And we're no further into and this is what I said when we had Matt on. Shout out to Matt Cat Geeks What, man.
All right.
When I was told that they were creating a show called The Acolyte about the Sith, I assumed that we would be following the journey of someone becoming an acolyte to a Sith. Now, it appears that we're on that journey, but sometimes it doesn't appear as if though we're on that journey, right? It appears that we're watching someone become an acolyte to a Sith, but it also appears that we might just be watching the demise of a Jedi. I'm, again, a fan of the show. I'm along for the ride. There's a lot of ties. There's a lot of loose strings still left on the table. And I'm just interested to see in what I know is going to be a 30-minute episode, how they're going to tie up everything.
Supposedly 42 episodes. That doesn't give me hope because this last episode was one of the longest episodes, and I'd say half of it was crap.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but here's the thing, and this is where I'm duplicitous in this, man. I enjoyed the episode. I told you, I'm a sucker for seeing the different perspective, everything that's happening. I wasn't as hyped up to see a Wookiee fight as everyone else. There's some type of weird Wookiee fight.
I loved it, man.
You guys are all like, Wookiee fights. I'm just like, I just want to know. But there was some great takeaway moments from here, man. When he stabbed that bitch, when she was turning into mist. That I was just like, oh shit, he really just did that, bro.
Yo, I think I've told you this already. I think he was justified.
Yeah. I mean, got to keep your hands on the car, right? Yeah, cop tells you.
Basically, if you're a Jedi and
No
some
black
witch
fist.
is doing some weird shit, I'm cutting your head off, and then I'm asking questions later. if you're waving your hands and go, "Rah," and the energy's flying somewhere, you're done. You're done. Okay, so and it's funny, mad people are really triggered about what he did, but I was like, because they're acting like she's the innocent bystander. I was like, she was already involved in some shady ass child abuse shit.
Yeah, and that leads me to what we were talking about in private. But first, real quick, shout out Bex Pony. What's up? Thank you for coming in, and for anyone watching on Instagram and in silence, not contributing to the chat, I still love you. I'm not mad at you.
Definitions of duplicitous, objective, marked by deliberate deceptiveness, especially he's using big words.
Yes.
Pretending one set of feelings and acting under the influence of another.
No, he's giving us the definition of duplicitous.
Duplicitous, but it's that's the smart guy. Just being duplicitous, you fucking shady. That's the definition I would see. You fucking shady.
Yeah, but, what's up, Odie? Long time no see. Glad to have you in. It really is. There are a few things that are happening in the show that I really enjoy, right? There are more than a few things. But I want to touch on some stuff, man. Did I just turn my camera off? That's weird. I want to touch on some stuff. I most certainly believe that those witches were going to chuck those babies down that fucking hole, and only one of them was going to emerge. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm sorry.
Can I say my theory? Can I say my theory?
Just real quick. I'm sorry to all my witch friends, Wiccans. You guys are always one sacrifice away, man. You guys, you naturalists, you crystal rubbers, y'all be looking to kill babies any chance you get.
Yo, that's what it is. You hang out with them, and I'm like, witches are cool, man. They're always doing my charts and shit, and they're hanging out.
Right.
And then one day they say some crazy shit.
Yeah. It's like that episode. Go ahead.
I knew a male witch. So back in Charlottesville, I knew this kid. He was really into spiritual stuff. We used to hang out all the time. And he said he was a male witch. And I was like, cool, whatever. And then one day, we're out drinking. And he explains that because someone had crossed him, he used his mind powers to burn the man's house down.
Yeah, see?
I was like, you did what? And he's like, oh, yeah, his house burned down. And that was my doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And I never spoke to him again. I was out.
Yeah, because emotionally distraught people should not have control over the powers of the element. And that's why I make a commitment now, here and now, without the sanction of the church or the Protestant church, I will find you all. And I will ensure, if anyone's going to be an inquisitor,
Witch Hunter Steve.
It's going to be me. It's just like, you don't even have to wonder who's behind the metal wall when you're at your trial and you hear my voice like, so 2 years ago you said to me in Mantis that you were manifesting the best possibilities.
Oh,
let's see if you can manifest your way out of this.
These manifestors, man. Beck says I'm offended. All you crystal bitches should be offended because Steve Witch Hunter is coming for you.
But yeah, there's some great stuff going on in the show. That was one honorable mention I had. Continue, my brother.
Real quick, my theory, and I think I have a similar theory as to you.
Yeah.
So there's two possible things that I think are going to happen tonight, or we're going to find out, or we should find out if they let the story play out. I believe that the witches were either going to, one, transfer their minds into the little girls' bodies, the two main witches,
right?
Or, like you said, there's like a demon down that pit,
yeah,
and they were gonna transfer the demon into the girls.
There's that, and the one of the most popular opinions is that, and you really got to follow me on this, right? A lot of tension is set up in the first flashback episode about the individuality of Osha versus the conformity of May, right? And I do believe what we could possibly have seen was if the mothers weren't going to transfer their spirit into them, they were going to return these two back into one force being, which would have been even more tragic because that meant one of them most certainly was going to expire. The personality, that is. And I love that type of writing. I think all those theories are great on the table. And again, my angle on what happens tonight is I do hope we get a season 2, man. And this is a bad comparison, but I have to bring it back to the tragic tale of the Sarah Connor Chronicles in my opinion, one of the greatest, cheesiest shows that were ever made, and we were robbed.
And not even given a chance. Like nowadays, they give you a chance to wrap it up. They'll be like, we're
Right.
giving them 10 episodes. Not even wrapped up like that. Just
No.
one day it was gone.
And it was on a great cliffhanger, right? It was on a great cliffhanger. So I hope we get something amazing. I do want to spend some time talking to you about Marvel being back. The buzz is so high right now for Deadpool and Wolverine, which we're going to go see. But I have to tell you that there are a couple of movies I'm going to go see. We premiered the trailer of Gladiator last week, but Alien Romulus, I am going to see that movie in the $10 theater, right? Because that's how a movie like that should be seen, right? I'm not taking any chances.
Right.
$10. That's what you get. I'm going to go check that out, man. But we got Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. And then Marvel, in a bold mood, heterosexuality coming back into the MCU, decided to put their dicks on the table and release the trailer for Captain America Brave New World, and motherfuckers love it, me included.
You know what's funny? Sometimes I think I'm a dick because I suffer from high expectations. And so sometimes I'll see something the first time and like be like, it was whatever. But if you give me some time, a couple days later, I'll be like, you know what? That trailer was really good. Because I think you asked me and I said, it was all right. And I ended up watching it like 10 more times.
Yeah.
And I liked it more every time. I noticed things more every time I saw it. And I liked it more. And I'm actually gassed right now about this movie.
I actually heard an interesting take from I think it was the cast of Friday Night Tykes, or that group over there. Shout out to them. And an interesting take was that they didn't really have an issue with Falcon, right? They were like, man, if they would have made Falcon like the leader of the Avengers, that would have been great. But it was the whole narrative that was going on in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, by the way, I liked. We had a great time reviewing that. Let's be honest. We had a great time reviewing that show from week to week. But I'm really interested to see where they go with this movie, man. We got Red Hulk showing up in there, man. I really do think that Anthony Mackie is going to come into his own, or at least I should say, I hope he's going to come into his own in this movie. Anthony Mackie's a great actor who has a great amount of range, and I really do respect him for sticking this out. Movie's going to be released in February. People are speculating that they're trying to capture the Black History Month, Black Panther sympathy purchase. I don't think that's going to work out the same way.
I don't think that's a thing. I don't think that's a real thing, right?
I mean, it definitely helped with the first Black Panther.
Do you really think Black History Month helped Black Panther? Like, I feel like
100%.
Black Panther was just a good movie.
It was a great movie, but releasing it during Black History Month and the cultural phenomenon that it became, and the moment of Pan-Africanism where Black people around the world were united in this fictional piece of work created by Jewish guys. Yes, most certainly.
So let me ask you: during Black History Month, do you buy more Black things?
Do I buy more Black things? Look, I'm just trying to protect my Black job. All right.
Okay. So here's what I gotta say, and I know this is very unpopular opinion. People are gonna come at me for this one. I have to say, although a lot of people are critical of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I actually liked what they did with it, and here's why. There were some stupid parts and some, like all the Disney shows, not perfect all around, right? Especially since they had to take out the disease plot. There was a whole disease plot they had to take out because of COVID. So we got an edited version of it. But here's what I like what they did with it. They make the two sidekicks have to have an adventure together. And I feel like it was a good transition from sidekick to now I'm the man with the shield.
Right.
It was also a good way for him to split away. I actually like that he's splitting away from the Winter Soldier. And he's he's like, you do your thing, you do my thing. We love each other, bro. But it's time for me to be man up.
Right. And I love the cinematography. I feel like I say that too much when critiquing these things, but it's something that's really important to me in trailers. Just the presentation of Falcon being a fully formed superhero was absolutely amazing. Remember, he had some badass moments in Civil War. Like, let's keep it real, man. Iron Man bit off a little bit more than he could chew in a couple of those fight scenes with Falcon. He got hit with the little sidekick, Nightwing, and then, it is technically Falcon's fault that War Machine now walks with a metal leg.
Yeah.
But I love the sonic boom scene in the trailer. I love the tension between him and Ross. You know what I'm saying? I love that we're getting the Red Hulk. It's gonna be
And
amazing.
it's funny that it's not even a trailer. It's technically a teaser.
Yeah.
Because check out the two things they didn't actually show us. Here's what it is: they show us in silhouette form when he's doing the sonic boom, but obviously he has a helmet to his costume.
Yeah.
But they don't give you a clear look at it, and that's
yeah.
what I want to see. That's going to be very important. What he looks like when he has the helmet on.
Yeah.
The other thing, the leader, the real villain.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see that. I love the villain. I love the leader is one of my favorite non X-Men villains.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't wait to see him. I really hope he has a fucking big ass head.
He's a cheesy looking character, but he's had some great arcs in the comic. And Esposito, now we know Esposito is in a movie that we can all respect him in. I did not want to see him as Magneto. I did not want to see him as Professor X. And if they race bent a character that's almost meaningless, then I don't give a shit about that. I think John Esposito brings a certain level of intensity to the MCU, man. This looks very Winter Soldier-esque in its presentation. So I'm excited.
As a Captain America a Captain America movie should be that.
Yeah, because that's what the comics. I was contemplating on that the other day. What separates Captain America from Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Batman? Street level heroes. Even though Spider-Man has always transcended the street level moniker, he's gotten into some cosmic shenanigans. But it's always been about subterfuge, espionage, civil discourse. I'm glad to see this. What a hint of superhero shit happening in the background.
This is what I actually like about the Avengers as opposed to the X-Men. And so the X-Men usually don't have their own comics. Sometimes they're like in the 90s, they were giving everyone like give Storm a comic, give Bishop a comic, and none of them last long. But what I like about the Avengers is that there's an Avengers mood where they're all together. But then if you visit them in each one of their comics have a totally different vibe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I like that you can visit any one of their vibes or you can go to the joint vibe.
Right.
So, wait, real quick before you head
it.
off that, but you know what they're gonna I promise you, my Spidey sense is telling me is gonna be a flop.
No.
Agatha all along, man.
Yeah.
This was a mistake to make. It's a comic book character with no fans.
No backing.
It's no basis for why people would tune in. There's no superheroes in it.
Right.
And here's what I'm saying. It looks like a quality show, but the people are going to be pissed that it's a Marvel show.
Yeah, and again, man, I wonder, I'm not claiming this, but I wonder how much of this stuff had already been greenlit post them saying we got to pivot to save ourselves. But it's like, well, we got to get Echo out. We already paid for this shit. We got to get Agatha out. And I'm just hoping that, and not shifting away from this, still talking about the MCU, like with Deadpool and Wolverine, we know we're going to be in for a bunch of shenanigans, right? It's going to be shenanigans mixed with some heartfelt moments, some intense moments. And I'm just hoping that we can just kind of just keep our heads down just long enough, because I've really been enjoying how excited people are for these two properties, like seeing excitement around the MCU and by proxy, seeing excitement around some of the stuff that's going on in DC. There is some excitement. I think superhero genre is an important genre, man. I want there to be a distinction from the action genre, and I want it to be here for a while. But it will not be here for a while if you continue to make bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't have to call it woke or any of that shit, man. You make bullshit, people have the right not to consume that bullshit, man.
Which is why the rumors of the way the Blade movie was going was horrendous. And we've said it before. It's relatively easy to make a Blade movie.
Yes.
Because it should be the action and the badassery.
Yes.
Should be top tier.
Yeah.
Story second. I'm not shitting on story. Some stories are great. But the fact that they wanted some elaborate thing where he's like, he has a daughter and there's Dracula and it's a flashbacks between the 20s and chill out, bro.
Yeah.
Chill out.
And aren't things tense enough between black men and black women? Do you know how much black men would revolt? You thought Kevin Samuels got some shit cracking. If they would have made Blade about the moniker and the title being passed to a black woman, I guarantee. You know how I know shit would have kicked off? Because I'd have been the one kicking it off. I'm like, all right, now I'm wading into the waters, man. There's no need for this bullshit in fucking Blade.
Unfortunately, Shaolin Iceboxer just got here, and although we love him, he just missed the Marvel talk.
Yes, you missed it, brother. You missed it. Looking forward
Catch
to
in
it,
a
man.
replay.
Looking forward to we got to figure out our tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine. Don't really want to hypothesize. Me personally, you're more than welcome to about what's going to happen. I'm trying to keep my expectations super low.
Right.
Super
The only thing I'm willing to speculate on. Oh, okay. So there's a couple. Actually, do you not want me to tell you rumors that?
No, go for it.
The biggest rumor that like I have trouble believing is as follows. Supposedly, I don't know what Scooper said this. Supposedly that by the end of the movie we will meet the new X-Men, the MCU X-Men. I have my serious doubts because we've heard this before.
Right.
We've heard similar rumors. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. The other thing that I have to say is Lady Deadpool. It's probably Blake Lively, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Taylor Swift.
I wouldn't be surprised either one of those things. And obviously, there are other rumors floating around that the Avengers movie, Avengers 5, is actually going to be Avengers versus X-Men. I don't think Marvel's ready to put it all out yet. Obviously, maybe we'll do a live stream covering their presentation or what they allow us to show for San Diego Comic-Con, which might not be in San Diego anymore. More rumors about that shit going on. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so what I had heard is that Avengers 5 is going to end up being them versus the Masters of Evil. And the Masters of Evil are going to be made up of villains they've already fought in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they have, like, Dr. Doom leading it, and then, like, a bunch of, he's the new thing, and then there's the...
Your face was worth $1 million in that moment, that micro expression.
Well, you know what it is? It reeks of being out of ideas and being cheap. Like, think of their old villains. Like, they're going to bring back Whiplash, who's like, we'll have a drunk Russian, but he'll have an electro whip. Like,
I mean, I've heard other rumors. One popular character from this particular show and one less than popular character. So Quake and Yo-Yo from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might be making an appearance in friggin' Deadpool. I've heard all types of crazy shit.
I don't believe that one. You know why? The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fans are crazy. They think Quake is going to appear in literally everything.
Right.
They're like, now's our chance to bring in Quake.
I do think it was a missed opportunity. And so I don't know if you know this. I think you do. We talked about this before. Because of scheduling issues and stuff like that and the beef between Kevin Feige and Marvel TV at the time. So if you were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were actually following pretty closely everything that led up to Infinity War. Like, it was a part of the story. Like, the Kree has showed up, and it's like, they're like, fuck this, Thanos is here, your planet's fucked. Literally, that was a plot point in the story. And they were going to do that, they were going to include the snap, but you know how it went. Marvel didn't want to play nice within its own departments and shit like that. And I do think it was a missed opportunity. Like, if I'm running Marvel, missed opportunity would have definitely was not including the Netflix universe in the last fight in Infinity War. Like, as soon as Doctor Strange said, you know, when Wong, like, he asked Wong, did you get everyone? Next portal open, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, fucking Iron Fist 2, bro. Like, everyone, I want everyone there.
You know what I can't stand? I can't stand when they're on the verge of greatness and then they fail to, and then later on we have to hear about it. So I'll give you some examples. A Spider-Man 3, and I'm talking about Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3. In it, the Doctor was originally going to be the Mr. Fantastic from the Mr. Fantastic, from the Fantastic Four movies from the early 2000s. The Doctor who tells him about the symbiote. At the last minute, they decided against it because of or whatever. But I'm saying, even though that wasn't a great movie, that would have made it a better movie.
Yeah, and that kind of would have redeemed it. You know,
like another thing, they were going to have the Oscorp. They were going to have Sony and Marvel were going to team up in the original Avengers, and Oscorp building was going to be in the skyline of New York, implying they're in the same universe, and it fell through. The deal to do it fell through. And I'm like, that one thing would have added such levels to that movie.
It would have added validity to these bullshit properties that Sony really pushes and thinks that I'm not going to see that Kraven movie. I am not. going to see that movie, bro. I am not. I don't give a fuck. They got to be giving out free tickets and free food before I walk up in the theater to see that. My life is precious to me, man, and I can't waste it on
No,
shit like that.
I don't have time. I don't have time for that, man. I don't have
Speaking of
energy.
not having time, man, I just want to check in with you real quick, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good.
You know, we came really close this Saturday, man. We came really, really close to something that I don't think a lot of people want to deal with, bro. I don't think America realizes that God intervened and prevented, for right now, the second civil war in this country. That's
yes,
right. I'm on that type of energy. I'm on that type of energy. If that bullet would have went through Trump's head, as opposed
it would have
to his
been
ear,
over, man. It would have been absolutely over. It would have been over for the Democrats.
Oh, for sure.
And you know what it is? People are pumped and they're revved up. But imagine how revved up they would be if they were successful.
So obviously, we're talking about the near assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump and everything that's ensued. And before we get into it, man, I just got to say, conspiracy theorists, step your game up, man. A conspiracy should hold to a point where it's like, this is why this happened, and here's what's to gain. I'm just going to lay this out right now, man. Biden lost that debate in the court of social public opinion. The man stammered through and barely made it back to his seat.
His own people don't have his back.
Oh, we're going to
That's
get into
not a
all
good
that
look.
stuff. We're going to get into all that stuff, man. Trump is polling better than him before Saturday. What exactly would be to gain by, and then orchestrating him nearly being killed? Like, how does that go down? Like
So
I want
I assume you're.
to shoot a bit of my ear off.
I assume you are referring to the conspiracy theory that Trump did this to himself.
Right.
I believe they're calling it the Trumpy Smollett
Yes.
conspiracy. And I agree with you. What's he going to do? He would risk a bullet even remotely coming close to his head just for a few points, even though he was way ahead. That's insane. That's a horrible conspiracy theory.
It's one of the worst conspiracy theories I've ever heard. What up, D?
What up, D? Welcome. You just made it home, girl. We're talking about Trump over here on the Fanboy Modeling School, courtesy of Riz Radio. We're talking about the crazy conspiracies going on. And so I've got a lot of conspiracies to pitch.
Yes.
Because let me ask you, do you find it odd that every time there's an assassination or attempt on the president, it's always a lone wolf weirdo
No.
who never is ever connected to the rival political party that has everything to gain if that person were to die?
No, because agency they, autonomous group them, aka those people, the unnamed Illuminati conspirators that lie in the shadow, those are the perfect guys to recruit. Lone wolves.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. That's where I was going with that. And you know what? When people right now literally are like, "Oh, random 20-year-old guy who's basically apolitical and a Republican did this."
Yeah.
How did he? So let's break it all down.
Let's break it all down.
So this 20-year-old kid who was a horrible shot, apparently he had tried out for his school's rifle team and he had failed to get in because he was such a bad shot. Who's considered apolitical. He's a registered Republican. However, he donated
$15
he donated to the Democrats to get Joe Biden elected. His kids at school, his friends, literally are like, he never talks about politics. I don't know. He's a loner. He never really talked about stuff. He has no friends.
Right.
There's no evidence on his computer or phone that he has connection to these things.
Right.
Just one day decides to take his dad's gun and go assassinate a presidential candidate?
Okay, and let me add another layer to that, right? It is amazing to me that even in a state like Pennsylvania, that there is now footage being presented of this young man who was not in camo gear at all, right? He wore freaking cargo shorts, apparently, for the assassination, managed to scale a building that was unsecured, that was 100 yards away, which is a nice distance, right? It's a nice distance away, right? Which was supposed to be under, according to the Secret Service, the jurisdiction of the local PD. That was their job. They were supposed to secure that outer perimeter. And there are people recording him climbing up, and they're like, "Hey, there's a guy up on the roof. He's
got a
up
gun.
now. He's on the roof. Okay, he's got a gun." And I'm gonna take a hard shot at cops. So if you're a cop lover, I apologize, but this is another L for the PD. Apparently, police, if I'm going to lean into a left-leaning view of this, only have enough courage to shoot unarmed people. They don't have enough courage.
I thought you were going to say unarmed black people.
No, I just said people. I said people. They don't have enough courage to take a slug to the mug, run in the building, save 17 babies from a shooter. That's why those two pigs are going to prison. And they didn't have enough balls. This apparently a cop scaled. This is all alleged. Scaled a ladder. And the shooter pointed a gun at the cop, and then like, not today.
Right, and so he tried to duck away from it, and he fell off the ladder and fell down. That's very cop-like. That's small town cop to a T, right? But so here's what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying. So you're saying you're, and I see why someone would say this. The cops are incompetent, right? However, what about the idea that there are counter snipers near Trump? And right. Two of them clearly have him in sights.
Right.
Yet they do not fire for minutes until he fires.
So I have a different interpretation based off the video evidence that I've seen. And I think that my response might have been similar to the guy who took the shot, which, by the way, it almost sounds and appears, because I'm not an expert, that he took the shot at almost the exact same time, or the response shot was like a millisecond. Could you imagine being up on the roof and you're the counter sniper? You're like, khakis. What the fuck? Because he literally pops up from the gun and he's like, "Bah!"
yeah. I do see that. And obviously, and you don't want to accidentally shoot another cop,
right?
But so here's what it is. So if we watch that video, and actually, I'm going to bring up the video of what happened. Yeah. I think it's like currently the most watched video anywhere, right?
Can you bring it up and just stall for a second? I got to refill on my tea. I'll be right back. Just get it queued up.
I hope all are having fun out in fanboy modeling school world, man. The world is pumped, man. The world is pumped. Crazy things are happening. They took a swing at my boy Trump, and I, the fat mantis, will not stand for it. So, sorry, guys, for any technical difficulties that would appear. Catching up with our chat. Beck says, let's go. Let's hear all these theories. Conspiracy theories, she says. Shaolin says, back in 2013, Obama rode through my city. I was stuck for 3 hours after my was done because the roads were locked down for miles with local police presence and Secret Service on feet. I actually remember that. I actually do remember that half the city, and I remember I didn't venture out to the bar, believe it or not, because of that. Because for those who don't know, the city that, me and Shaolin know each other from is basically cut in half by a major highway. And so that highway is actually access to like everything. And so there's this one side of the city, which is like where the university is. And there's the other side, which has like other stuff going on it. But I do remember that very well. I cannot believe they let that dude do that. So it is utterly insane, and that's where I'm going for this conspiracy. I think you guys, it's obvious where I'm going with this. What I'm about to bitch about, what I'm about to scream about. I'm pretty obvious tonight. Because I'm just going to say it. I'm going to get us kicked off YouTube. It would appear, because, like I said, I use my thinking brain, but I also use my heart to feel through things. And the feeling that I'm getting from this, and I think everyone is feeling, it's just people don't want to say it, is that the U.S. government tried to have Donald Trump assassinated. The idea that it is an apolitical, weird 20-year-old is the most ludicrous thing I have ever heard in my life. And I am not going to stand for it, for this lie, this clear lie. And
yo.
Yeah, so check out my latest complaint on this one. So watch.
Okay.
Here we go.
Old that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something to say, take a look at what happened.
The reflexes on this guy. Biden would have never done that.
Biden's dead.
Yeah, Biden's dead already. In his example.
Move it spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready? Down. Down. Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move? Shooters down. We're good to move. We're clear. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear. Let me get my shoes.
And here comes the most iconic moment.
Yeah, wait, and before we get to it, we're about to see it. Actually, let's get to it while I point out. So wait, hold on, right here. Who can tell me what's wrong with what's happening in this image right now?
Well,
I'm about to armchair these cops right now.
So first and foremost, the president in this moment, if there was another shooter that was head on,
boom, boom, exactly. You stay down at all times. They should have moved him along the ground, not bring him up. So not only did their incompetence allow a sniper to get 400 feet away from him and have a clear line, and they didn't take him out in time, but they actually put him in danger in this next segment.
Right.
So they should have continued to move around while they duck down. You don't ever get up. There could be a second sniper, even if you hear the first one's down.
Right.
It totally violates basic rules and etiquette of being a security guard.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's almost like they're framing his face right now to be shot.
We got to talk about some other stuff, man. And we got to get into the DEI conversation. There's a lot of places to go tonight, man, because
right. Yeah, there's a lot of that talk.
Yeah, there's a lot of places to go. But
you know
I got
to
go for it, brother.
Basically it comes down to this. There's two arguments happening. One, it's either they're malicious, or two, they're incompetent.
Right.
And people are taking one side or the other. And I come from the point where I believe they're malicious. I believe they were trying to get him killed.
I'm coming from the side of incompetence, but new reports have just broke that his personal detail were begging for more support. And in a political atmosphere where we had congressional members calling for him not to have Secret Service anymore, this all lends credence to, even though it's a flimsy conspiracy theory, there are literally people who wanted to strip him of his Secret Service, man.
It's crazy. Yeah. D says exactly, Shaolin. Do you think that the Secret Service didn't care or was in on it? So I think they were in on it. Beck says, yes, D. Pointy hat included. Bex is still hurt about those witch comments. You
Listen, I'm just trying to say, man, I've abandoned Ho-Hocus, right? But what I am going to do is make sure that anyone, Bex excluded, anyone that has ever personally said to me that they have the power to manifest or cast any spells in Steve's America, don't worry. I got a place for you. I got a place for you.
I think that could also be Donald Trump's America. And so I know a lot of people. I know there are people. Here's what it is. So many people are like diehard Trump that they're like, Mantis, why do you make fun of Trump? Why do you call him a fascist? Why do you do if you love the dude? And so here's what it is. I'm voting for him because he's the lesser of two evils.
Okay.
Not because I actually wake up in the morning and rub myself off to Trump, which apparently a lot of people do.
To get back to your point in the response to this, of the Secret Service here, man. Actually, what we're doing a bit of a disservice, and again, this is not to take a shot at women, but the men actually did their job quite well in this scene. This is what happens when you have weak players on a team where you're not allowed to have weak players. This is where physical and aptitude tests are so important, because you can either do the job or you can't do the job. The conversation for diversity has to come to an end when it's jobs where, can you do it? Can you physically scale the building with the gear on to save the baby from the burning building? Can you do it? Can you
And this goes for firefighters. This goes for people in the military. They're
Right.
skirting physical requirements so that they can be like, have equality or whatever.
Right.
And so here, and this doesn't show it, but the woman, there's a woman they're making fun of. This one Secret Service agent
Oh yeah,
who's overweight,
Yeah.
and you can't see it from this angle. I think you might be able to see her on the left side. That's her. I
Yeah.
think that's her. But in another angle of this video, she's hiding behind Trump. She gets down, and I think that's when she was having trouble with holstering her gun, and
Right.
she's behind him. And it's like, if you're a Secret Service person, are you not supposed to put your body in front of the president?
Right. Yes. You take a slug to the mug. That's what these jobs of high standards call for. Hey man, have you ever read the oath or creed for the NYPD? Do you know
Oh, I have not.
there's a creed? Go look it up. There's a commitment you make when you become a police officer, right? Whether you're PD in NY or LA, you're setting yourself to a standard. Take a slug to the mug, right? Do your job. Take a slug to the mug.
Yo, Shaolin Ice Waxer says, I'll say this though. Didn't the Supreme Court rule that taking out your political opponent is legal? Laugh out loud. So I know you're making a joke, but I do want to clarify this because what it is there's a lot of bad actors, particularly in CNN and MSNBC. And who's that shill, Harry Sisson or whatever, who's a content creator for Biden. And here's what it is. The Supreme Court ruled that when you're doing official capacities as presidents, it is not illegal, as outlined by the Constitution. And so everyone goes, you mean he could just murder people? Murdering people and assassinating your opponents is nowhere in the Constitution. I just want to point that out to people. And so everyone's like, didn't they just okay that he could send Marines to murder his enemies? He cannot legally do that. It's
Right.
only the acts as a president, and there's nowhere anywhere in the Constitution about the president having the power to assassinate anyone.
Yeah.
If he's doing it, it's always illegal.
And again, let me just say something here, man. I'm looking at it from all viewpoints, right? But I have an opinion. And my opinion, because you stated yours, was this is incompetence, right? This is a broken system, right? This is all the things that led up to even say a situation like January 6th, man. That is proof of an unsecured federal building, right? I know where you stand on it, brother. And you know where I stand, right?
Right.
I know that if that would have been a bunch of Mexicans and black people running that building, I'm like, get the guns. These motherfuckers are acting stupid again. I believe that. Doesn't mean that it's facts, but I believe that.
I actually do believe that. To be honest, I believe the black officers would have fired on them as well, because I was wondering why the black officers didn't fire on the hillbillies. I think I told you that there's this one scene of a black officer. He has a gun.
That
He's
guy's
like,
a hero.
Don't come any close, and he lets them overtake him. I would have fired.
Yeah,
I
he
would
was,
have
he
unloaded
was
my gun.
leading them away from the members. And of course, the tragic death of that young lady who didn't seem to understand that those weren't. I don't care what the official reports say. This is a Steve opinion. That guy that shot that chick was too well dressed to be a municipal police officer. And those guys, those agents in black, they don't have to give you fair warning. Mantis, you know who I speak of. You remember what happened in 9/11? The National Guard came in to secure the train stations. Those other soldiers, you remember the ones I'm talking about, in the full body armor with the black mask, who were just like, move it along, citizen.
Yeah, they're like stormtroopers, and you're like, and I was like, they don't have a flag or any indication of what branch they serve on their armor. Because the army. Here's how you know an army guy. And no offense to people who serve in the army, I love you. You do good work. Thank you. You give us our freedom. Right. But like the army guys who were down in the subways, you could tell they kind of didn't want to be there.
Right.
They're just a regular dude dressed in green, and they're like, "Yeah, move along, citizen." I'm like,
right. Those guys almost shot Zeus one night on the train. Zeus was wilding out after we left Ardrew's bar, and one of them came over, and I was like, "They're gonna kill this."
I'm not surprised knowing Zeus.
Hey, what's up, Rogue Radio over on Instagram? Come on over
What up, Rogue Radio?
Come on over to YouTube, Rogue. The Instagram Live. They only give you an hour. But here's my point, man. I'm going for incompetence on this, but I do want to acknowledge that the job of a Secret Service agent is highly stressful. The job of a police officer is highly stressful. But in these moments, these critical moments, and even to a lesser extent, your interactions with the public, Your training dictates how you're supposed to respond in this. And if you are not the person that was trained to do this job and you got the job for other reasons, but you didn't meet the standard, I guarantee there's no DEI diversity for the SEALs, right? I guarantee it, bro. Like,
Well, it'll be a sad day in America when there are, because then we won't have a country anymore. Because if the SEALs can't fight, then what the hell? But like, and that's what people are saying. Because did you see what the director had to say? The CIA, not the CIA, the
Secret Service director? Yes,
who,
yeah.
you know, she's a recently elected to the position,
Appointed.
director, female, and
Right.
she said the reason she didn't secure that roof is because it was a slanted roof and there were safety concerns for the agents.
Right.
You know who deals with slanted roofs? Construction workers, carpenters, immigrants,
Right.
roofers. Regular fucking idiots are on slanted roofs literally every fucking day, and she can't put an agent on there?
This whole thing was a debacle, but often the simple explanation is the correct one. And
I
this
believe the simple one is they wanted to have him killed.
I believe the simple one is that we have a system that is completely cannibalizing itself, filled with good intentions, but good intentions aren't where the elite should exist. That's where your boy Steve lives, man. Our special response teams are elite of the elite. The diversity level in those teams should not be taken into account. It's simply, can you do the job?
And here's the whole thing.
Hmm.
I don't believe, I don't believe in any of this shit. I don't believe in DEI or any of this nonsense. Because you're right. For elite teams, it shouldn't be that way. But you know what else it shouldn't be that way? For doctors, for lawyers. Like, do you want surgery done on you by somebody who doesn't have the grades to be there?
No, you know that I'm a professional. Wait, I almost said I'm a professional whore, but that would have came out wrong. I'm not a professional whore.
He just plays one on TV.
I just play one on television, bro. I believe that everything boils down to the ability to do the job. I agree.
We
with
should be in a
both.
meritocracy. If you can pull it off, you have the merit.
Pause.
Then boom.
Welcome.
How is that a pause?
if
If
can
you
pull
have
it-
the merit, is a
no,
pause.
if
for you?
you could pull it off, that's pause, man. You stepped right into that one.
That is not a pause. Yo, Steve, I want you to seek therapy.
No, I want you to stop saying pause worthy shit on this American show. Welcome in Rogue Radio. Welcome in Catalyst.
Catalyst, what up, boy?
What up?
Haven't seen
What up?
you in a minute.
Uh,
Shaolin says, remember when the Secret Service got their January 6th phone records subpoenaed and they refused to turn them over? Shady.
Absolutely.
Absolute shadiness.
Nor should they. Nor should they.
D says the woman looked like she was in a bad comedy movie. Yeah, like
Yes.
what is it? Melissa McCarthy in that movie Spy?
Oh yeah, man. It's a bad look, man. It's a bad look, and I think this was a real gap and breakdown in everything that has to do with procedure and training and execution on the training. But again, I want to acknowledge how tense this job is. And again, I don't have anything against women being police officers or anything like that if they're capable of doing the job. If we were to play this video back, you'll see that I believe, and I'm not an expert in this, all the men in this who are set to a certain type of height and stature to be able to block the physical body of the person they're protecting, they did their job. It's everything else that happens, man. And then I know at some point we're going to pivot to the RNC, man, because we got to talk about something that I called earlier, man. Conservatives, you got to be careful of which celebrities you're pushing out to the forefront, even if
Right.
it looks like they've had some type of seismic change in their worldview. Go ahead,
Right.
go for it. my
But,
brother.
it's and here's what I gotta say. Even when you were talking about, you said, "Oh, I believe women can be cops." I'm gonna be real with you right now. I believe women can be cops if they have a male partner, and not a female partner, or they're not alone. Because I one of my favorite things to do is watch fail videos on Twitter. And I've seen countless ones that are like, women shouldn't be cops. And it's just like a woman trying to stop something and like the criminal does whatever he wants. And I'm not dissing women by saying this. I'm just saying we have videographic evidence that women can't do the job, so they need help.
Yeah. I watched the video the other day. This is probably gonna make Catalyst laugh, man. This is completely off topic, folks, but I just got to share it with you, man. So I'm watching one of those failed videos, and it's a comp, and I just want to point some stuff out, man. There's certain things you got to look out for. I would hope I would have the situational awareness to be aware. You just know what's about to go down. Cop pulls a guy over in one of those southern states, right? And the guy gets out the car, and the cop says, "Put your hand behind your back." And the guy responds, "In the name of who? My name's Tyrell. Who the fuck are you?" And if I'm a cop in that moment, looking at how big this dude is, I'm like, "Oh, this motherfucker's a problem." He has just declared himself as damn near as a sovereign power, and it happens to men as well. This guy choked the cop after getting tased, and the only defense this cop could think of was not to break the grip around his neck. He pulls out his staff and starts hitting the guy in the leg, and I'm like, what was the strategic plan of that?
You know what it is? It's some beta who doesn't want to hurt somebody, and so he's doing everything but what he should be doing, which is going straight for the jugular.
Right.
Yeah, straight up, I'm knocking fools out straight on the jugular with my billy club.
Absolutely. Do you have the footage of the sniper response team? I want to get into that a little bit.
You sent it to me?
No, I thought maybe you just had it on deck or something like that.
No, I wanted to show you before we move on to the RNC. I wanted to quickly just, where is it? I've found the video. Distract them for a minute.
So while Mantis is doing that, I'm sure everyone here has already hit the like button on the video. But if for some reason you forgot to, this is the perfect opportunity to hit like for freedom. Each one of your likes guarantees that a baby bald eagle will fly down and grab up a communist witch by her jowls and drop her into the pit that she belongs in. So hit that like button. Make sure that we get to keep speaking freedom to power. Want to make sure freedom stays free. Right.
And then, so just real quick, I want to tell you that it's a sentiment coming from somebody you probably wouldn't think had the most sanest sentiment. And so, of course, it's not Brett Cooper. It's just this is something she put on her show. So we're not looking at her right now. We're not looking at the Queen of Whiteness. Real quick before we do this one, Catalyst said there should be one central authority for presidential security. Why were there like 5 different outfits down there?
Bro,
that's what happened on 9/11. One arm not knowing what the other's doing. I agree, and I can't believe that they literally were like, anything over 300 feet is another department's. The Secret Service should be in charge of the security for miles.
Bro, and again, apparently, the reports are out that they had been requesting, and this could be just to cover their own asses, but they had been requesting additional support for quite some time for his speaking engagements, man. And it's just, I just want to land this on this, man. Some of you people have not lived in a world where you've seen real evil or seen how funky shit can get in these streets. And I'm telling you, man, you can have your spiritual beliefs. I 100% believe not Trump, but God intervened and stopped a second civil war in that exact moment. And for you left-leaning psychopaths, and I got one that I'm going to show you later on, you're not prepared for war. You're not prepared for civil war. Like, you're not even prepared.
They think they are because they're like, we've got attitude. We've got chutzpah.
You're not
we've
prepared.
We've got DEI training.
You're not prepared.
We're allies to all these different groups. Okay.
I mean, half of you women don't even want to get drafted. You don't want to take a slug to the mug. What are you going to do when it's time to fight in the streets, man?
You know what the worst part is? The men, the young, the younger generations nowadays, the men don't want to take up arms about things. They literally are like, I'll do anything to dodge a draft. I'm like, really? If you were going up against Nazis, you wouldn't fight them? And people are like, no way.
Yeah.
Because they feel so entitled, right? Yeah. Actually, before we get into this video, I was about to say, I got to tell you something that really upset me over the weekend.
What upset you, buddy? As we're talking about
I'll tell you. So, I go to church. And for those who don't know, I'm in a situation where I am on the fence about my current church life. I have been to this church for 12 years. I've been a Sunday school teacher for a decade. You know what I'm saying? And so I've done
Right.
service for the church. We used to have a pastor. Our pastor recently left. We're between pastors, and we're kind of like deciding who we're going to be. And this church is suddenly mutating to so progressive. Sometimes I don't even identify it as a church anymore. And
Right.
so I show up, and it's literally the day after what happened to Donald Trump, right? And I sit there, and there's literally no mention of it. They just pretend nothing happened. The pastor says nothing, not even the prayers of the people. Yo, check this out. Every church I've ever been to, the prayers of the people at the end of the church service, the pastor is like, whatever's happening in the world, they will mention.
Right.
They'll be like, let us pray for Rwanda and the children starving. Let us pray for blah, blah, blah. Let us pray for the Ukraine. Every freaking problem the world has ever had has somehow ended up in the prayers for the people, as they should. It's an anxiety and pain point for the people at the church.
Right.
And it shows up, and he does not mention. There's not even a claim that let us pray to stop the political violence that has landed on our country, because this is historic. This is the first time an attempted assassination on a president has happened in 40 years. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And completely ignored. And then at the end of the service, when I went to friends and other people at the church bitching about it, they're all liberals. They all were fine with it. They were all fine with us just pretending that the Trumps aren't having any problem and we don't pray for our enemies kind of situation. Right. It was disgusting.
Yeah. Bro, here's the deal with that, right? And again, I've said it to you in private and I've said it to you in public, man. Once liberalism works its way into your church, that's the end, right? We can debate the finer points of theology, right? We can debate about. Actually, let's not debate about it. Amongst Christians, there are, the open-handed issues and the closed-hand issues. And if we agree on the closed-hand issues, then you're in. But when you have a church that's willing to talk about certain social issues and not preach on other social issues, then there's a level of inconsistency, because that means you don't want to speak the gospel to the totality of what's going on in the world. You want to cherry pick certain things to make your flock feel comfortable. But if you could just find me that passage in the Bible where it says, thou shalt pacify the flock and have them feeling comfortable, I'll submit right now. Right? You show it to me. Show it to me. Show me that passage. Show me the passage where it says, get up there sweating, hooping and hollering, right? Talking about how to be your best self. Show me the term best self, right? Show me where we're looking to be our best selves.
I wish that I had a better memory of books and chapters of where things are, because there is a specific part in the Bible where Jesus actually says, do not worry about the numbers or the popularity of your church. If you speak my truth, they will come.
Right.
And so obviously skirting around the truth is not what he's asking you to do.
Yeah, everything, even the lives of the apostles themselves, man. If you look at what Paul said, I believe it was to the church of Ephesus before he went back to Jerusalem, which would ultimately be his death sentence, right? He told them that I am innocent of the blood of you all, because I have spent time preaching nothing but Christ resurrected to you. So there are a lot of pastors that won't even preach that at the pulpit. They won't preach the risen Christ, right? They'll preach about everything else. But I'm sorry you had that experience. I saw you posted that on your social media, and I wanted to say, doesn't surprise me, right? I asked a few other Christians based off of your post. I'm like, hey, did they talk about the situation at your church? And one of them did say, yeah, they did talk about it. They talked about the insanity of everything, and then they got into scripture to lead the congregation and how to view these type of things, man. And that's what you're called to do as a pastor, man. You're called to talk about, I don't care if you preach on civil unrest during the BLM riots and, because of the murder of George Floyd. You see what I did there, right? I acknowledged that it was a murder. I also acknowledged that they were riots. You see what I did there? Like, two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
I'm fine with you preaching on establishments being evil and corrupt because they're run by men, but you have to be willing to give that same energy to a situation like this, man. And many churches fall prey to not wanting to say the truth, man. Like, a man was almost murdered on live TV. A man was murdered in front of his family, protecting his
Right.
family. Right?
Right.
2 innocent people were
And
shot.
people have jokes. You see this on Twitter? All these people have these jokes about both situations.
Wait, before we get into this streamer, we got to talk about another streamer who went out bad over the weekend, but he might have a point. So Destiny has taken a
I saw
hard
that.
stance on this entire situation. Started with some tweets or some X's, whatever, on X in regard to this. And he is taking the stance where he's like, I am allowed to make fun of this. I'm allowed to talk about this in a certain way. And then he brought receipts, and I have to respect him for this because it's true. When Nancy Pelosi's husband was accosted in his home, everyone started coming with the gay jokes. This old man is clearly a part of a sex cult. No evidence of any of this. The only evidence we have is some crazy person broke into a senior citizen's home and accosted with a hammer. And the quartering who denounced Destiny's statements about political violence in regards to Trump had also posted about wishing Nancy Pelosi's husband had expired that night. And that's what I'm talking about, man. We got to be
So-
consistent across the board here.
Well, if you want to be consistent, here's the thing. Here's where those jokes come from the Nancy Pelosi situation.
Right.
And it's on tape. It's from the body cam of the cop. And when the cop came over, Pelosi's husband said this guy was his friend. He was like, oh, he's my friend. We're just kind of having a problem.
Right.
You know, and he's acting like they were having a drink together and hanging out.
Yeah, he'd also
And
just
then-
been cracked in the head with a hammer.
Right? No, he attacks on camera. He suddenly is like, well, you know. So basically, I can understand why people thought it was a lover's quarrel. You know, I'm not even convinced it wasn't. Catalyst says DEI doesn't apply in life. Laugh out loud. May the best person win. Unfortunately, we don't live in a merit-based society. That is the sad part, right? D says, exactly, Steve. I'm surprised a lot of people are not thinking about this. No one wants to think about anything. People, here's what it is. They love their sensationalized news. They want to be told a narrative, and they want to believe that narrative, and they don't want to challenge or think about it.
Right.
Here's all I'm saying. What I'm about to show you right now is the attitude I feel we all should have as Americans. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Had to say after the shooting.
For those of you that don't know, about 30 minutes before I went on stage, there was an attempted assassination on former President Trump. Here's what I've got to say about it. And I hope you'll hear me out. I mean, it's my microphone. I can say what I want to, right? The fact that any American citizen would think that what they did today would solve a problem in this country is absolutely disgusting. On election day, go in there and vote for who you want. You know why? Because before most of you were born, an American soldier died for you to have the right to disagree with somebody else in this country.
Boom.
I'm tired of the hatred. I'm tired of the division. I'm tired of people talking about Trump and Biden. Let me tell you something. There's people in this crowd that agree with Trump. There's people in this crowd that agree with Biden. Guess what? That is your God-given American right to believe whatever you want. So I don't give a damn who you vote for. And I don't give a damn how you feel about what's on the news. There's only 3 things I give a damn about tonight. You listen to me, they are red, white, and blue.
He is so good. And that is
How
exactly
was
what
that?
people need to hear.
I'm sorry. That was that.
Who was that country bumpkin?
No, I agree with everything he said, man. I just don't know who it was, man.
No, I agree. What's his name? Hold on.
Rabid cancel culture was 4 years ago. And to leave you all feeling a bit more empowered and a bit inspired, I want to show you what my favorite country singer, Cody Johnson, I love you,
Cody Johnson.
had to say.
Cody Johnson. Good work, Cody Johnson. Am I right?
Cody Johnson gets the horn, man.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question really quickly before we get into the RNC stuff. And, don't worry, folks. I'm sure we're going to be talking about conspiracies for quite some time in regards to the Trump shooting and what's going on here. Again, your boy officially wants to tell you that God winked and nodded and spared you from Civil War II in this country. I got to ask this question, man. Why are there so many people surprised that in a country where civil rights leaders have been slain, where presidential candidates have been slain, presidents have been assassinated, Why are people so surprised that there was an attempt on another political figure's life? That's the thing that kind of throws me off. As if this was the first time in American history.
Actually, I'm surprised on this particular political leader that this hasn't been attempted like 5 other times.
Right.
You know?
But why do you think people are acting? There's some people who act surprised, or if this is the first time something like this has happened. This is a part of this country's history. It's a part of its soul.
So, here's the thing. It's the whole No Country for Old Men thing. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Ended horribly, but loved it.
Right. But, at the end of the movie, this guy thinks that, the sheriff thinks that the world has gone mad on him because the world is so simple. And then he goes to see his father's deputy because his father was a sheriff before him. And his father's deputy is a Native American man in a wheelchair. And he tells the story of how he ended up in a wheelchair. And the story he tells is 10 times crazier than anything we've just experienced. Right. And he realizes then that the world has always been crazy.
Right.
It's just each generation thinks they're the first one experiencing it.
Yeah.
Imagine, oh my God. During civil rights, when they were killing leaders left and right.
Yeah. The 60s, late 60s were bloody as hell, man.
Imagine how discouraged you would be as a young person. Imagine how scary the world would have been.
Yeah. And you thought it was going to collapse then, which leads me back to another political view that I hold, man. It's never going to collapse. Chances are it's going to stagger on, right? We are all living in fear of the day when it collapses. But here's the problem, man. The system is the system. This is just my personal belief, and it's set up in a way where it will stagger on, man. I'm not calling for revolution or anything like that. I actually agree with the country singer here, man. The one thing that should unify us as a country is we have the right to agree or disagree, right? And then we have the right to express those rights. Now, I'm not saying that the revolution should not have happened, but this is a part of this country's very core. It fought to exist. It killed to exist as well. And it blows my mind that there are some disingenuous people on both sides of the party on both sides of the table who are now calling for unity. But this is what I believe the middle lane American has been saying for a while. Not things like the temperature's too hot, we got to cool it down. It's like, no, we elected you people to lead this country and to lead it in an effective and efficient way where I'm not worried that any day might be the day where I got to put someone down in my front yard because civil unrest happens. You know what I'm saying?
I'm worried that that's going to happen, man. I'm going to have to reach for my rifle because they're going to come for us, man. They're absolutely going to come for us. It is absolutely crazy. D says, Mantis, find another church.
Yes,
thank you for the advice. Catalyst says, Jesus said, don't pray for your enemies. Right, exactly, right? That's crazy. That's
right.
Crazy, right? And so that's the opposite. And so why are they acting like this? I don't know. Catalyst says, Trump's son posted a messed up Halloween pic.
Oh, yeah? What did he post?
Did he? Which son?
Oh, my goodness. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? We don't have enough time to unpack this, man. But while doing research for tonight's show, are you aware of the Trump time traveling conspiracy?
I am.
You guys need to go look that up.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
That is crazy. Byron Trump.
So, guys, the first thing you guys got to know is that Barron, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The night Donald Trump was considered the candidate for the 2016 election for the Republicans, lightning hit where they were having the convention. That's just the start of it. There's more to this craziness.
Right.
But you're right. We don't have time. It's an in-depth conspiracy. But the conspiracy goes that Trump's family had possession of time travel.
Right.
And Trump used it repeatedly to alter events to make sure it's always in his favor.
Now, where does this all stem from? From an actual book called Baron Trump, I believe it's called. And yeah, this is not something that just came out the internet.
I saw this on the internet like a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, this is a thing, man. This is a thing. I'm probably misquoting that there, but hey, so let's talk about the RNC, man, and let's talk
real quick. Sheldon says that man is preaching. He's obviously talking about Cody Johnson. Honestly, I wish I could just go back to that, man. I miss those days. Yo, I honestly miss those days too. Honestly,
Yeah.
in the 80s and the 90s, obviously you had disdain for people with other political opinions. However, we tolerated each other. And so here's what it is. Mantis is old school. We all know I'm old, right? And so I actually like that they literally taught us this in schools, and there used to be like posters, like public service announcements about tolerance, right? They're like, tolerate your neighbor, tolerate things that are different. Guys, let's go over what tolerance is real quick. Tolerance is not affirming. It's not understanding. It's not getting down. It's not saying, yeah, you can use my apartment, do whatever, bro. Basically, all it's asking you to do is don't fuck with someone who's doing their own thing.
Right.
That's all you have to do to be tolerant. And I used to love that because back in the day, we were tolerant. We didn't agree with each other. I didn't agree with people with political rivalries or religious rivalries with me. However, I would be like, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
And I just wish we could go back to that whole thing that your neighbor could be a Republican or a Democrat and you still be like, hey, bro, how's it going? And then you go back to your family and you'd be like, Jack across the street, he's a crazy libtard. Ha, ha, ha. You'd laugh and you'd move on with your life.
Yeah.
You
And
wish
it was
harm on them.
Yeah, it's so polarizing at this point, man. In regards to the RNC, right? Amber Rose, everyone's new favorite conservative. What are your thoughts, man?
Okay, so Melanie Mack, and so Melanie Mack she's right, but she's a little extremist. So Melanie Mack, her first thing was to say, this is not the conservative to get behind because she's a porn star. Why is a porn star talking at the RNC? And I admit that's a little extreme. However, Amber Rose's OnlyFans is 50% off in honor of RNC week. So maybe Mel's not that insane.
Matt Walsh even came out and said he's like, this woman refers to herself as a slut. And actually, I sent you the tweet, and it's crazy because you have people responding to him like, hey, we got to respond to her with grace. She's obviously on a path. Candace Owens came out right out and endorsed her and said, I believe that she has a sincere change in her view. I think sometimes conservatives or people who profess to be Christians place a higher value on espousing conservative views rather than espousing Christian views and having a heart change. But that's neither here nor there.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think she's having what I still experience right now is that when you are born again and when you're like, I'm going to take this seriously, you do not. And a lot of people think it's an instant change. Right. Tomorrow, if you're born again today, tomorrow you're going to wake up. You're not going to curse. You're not going to think sinful things, and everything will be peachy. And that is bullshit.
Right.
And so, like, for instance, one of the things I have trouble doing is taming my tongue. As you know, I like to curse. And I don't even say I would like to curse. It's been programmed into me since I was a child. It is hard for me to not curse.
Right.
And so now that people are like, I don't know if they're saved, they curse.
But those are,
and just like a sex worker, like if you take a sex worker and she finds Jesus, is she going to be less sexy tomorrow? I don't think so.
But I think you've jumped ahead a few times. Amber Rose has never espoused Christian views. She's merely espousing that she has had a change of heart and change of mind in regards to Trump.
Okay, so I thought that Mel was attacking her because I thought she had espoused some sort of
no. She literally what she says in her presentation at the RNC is that she believed that Trump was a racist, and she was having a conversation with her father about this, who happens to be white, and we'll get to that controversy here in a second. And that her father challenged her and said, "No, he's not racist. Show me the racist thing that he said." And then she went on she started doing research and apparently went to a few rallies, met with people in the MAGA movement, and had a change of heart in regards to Trump. Right now, the response Matt Walsh has, and I'm going to pull up the tweet. I'm going to pull it up here so I can read it exactly. Give me 1 second. Hopefully this is the right one because I hate when my algorithm gets messed with. Oh, yeah. Also, this is what Matt Walsh said. The RNC gives primetime speaking slot to a pro-abortion feminist, self-proclaimed slut with a face tattoo whose only claim to fame is having sex with rappers. Truly an embarrassment. Not a single voter will be mobilized by this person.
I agree with that statement. The last part of his statement, I agree with. And so, I think they were hoping for someone with a little edge because they want to be like the Democrats. So like, we've got edgy sex workers here.
Right.
The thing is, here's what I'm saying. I think the Republicans do need people with an edge. I think she has too much edge.
I think she's not as relevant as they think. But
she has not been relevant for like a decade or whatever. Right?
But here's what we do have to deal with. We got to deal with what we were talking about in the green room, right? So there are people that are okay. Let me be generous here. There are people who espouse similar views to a mainline conservative in regards to Trump. And they are people that I think paint the Republican Party in a very negative light, because if they are truly trying to pull in the black and brown and other votes, they have to deal with these bad actors or these outliers. Now, remember, I said outliers before you and I get into it. I'll give you he's an outlier, but he's an outlier that speaks a lot of the same speaking points, and it's something they have to deal with on the political level. I'm sending you a video. It's right underneath the StreamYard link. Could you play that video for me? You're gonna have to turn the sound on.
Wait, which one is it? It's offensive.
It's the latest. It's the latest one I just sent you in Discord.
Is it who I think it is?
No, it's not Amazing Lucas. We haven't gotten there yet.
Because I'm saying I have Fuentes' video without Lucas. So
yeah. Well, we got to give Lucas some love, man.
I don't have to give him anything. I don't want to give him anything. He's a race baiting grifter. I'm not into him.
We got to talk about that one day. What qualifies a person as a race baiting grifter? Would you say Malcolm X? If Malcolm X was alive today, would you say he was a race baiting grifter?
Of course not.
Okay. All right.
He's my dog. What are you talking
what about Martin Luther the King? Martin Luther the King. Because he was actually referred to as a race baiting grifter back in the day. Did you know that was a moniker people used for him?
I'm sure they're idiots. Here's what it is. Let me be in charge. Let me be in charge of saying who the race baiting grifter is.
without any evidence or factual, like no criteria.
Martin Luther King can stay. Amazing Lucas can get the fuck up out of here.
Mantis said, Steve takes the witches, I take the race baiters.
Here we go. I think this is it. Lame-o.
No, D, that's not what I'm arguing against. I do have to distinguish between someone having a shift in their political views versus someone having a shift and coming to Christ. I will never allow the conservatives or social conservatives to, equate those two things. You can have a shift in your political views and you're still going to hell. You're still
right. And here's why I think Melanie Mack and a bunch of people are a little overreacting about her. Right. It is true. We're all. I think she's confusing, and I guess I got confused too. We always got to remember. You're right. Republicans are not necessarily Christian.
Yeah,
a lot of them are Christian, but they shouldn't have the same rules as it. And so now that I even think about it, that you pointed it out to me, that I was conflating the two. Now that I'm thinking about it. Let's let sex workers be Republicans. Why not? You know what I mean? Now, if you want to come to my church, it's another story.
Well, technically, sex workers are invited into the church.
Of course, I invite everyone into the church.
Well, I'm sure you do, you sick bastard. I'm sure you do.
Well, trust me, Republicans aren't welcome in my church, which is why I'm leaving my church and I'm taking my money with me. Dumbass progressive libtards.
So the clip we're about to play, make sure you unmute it first, brother, and bring the video back a little bit. You got to bring it all the way back. We really want to get queued up for this. There you go. Pause, make it bigger. What did you do?
Can you see it?
It's grayed out. Just hit that enlarge button there, which I wish might hit. Make it grow. There you go.
What about now?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Hit play on that bitch.
A better country for our children.
Oh, but if I shit on this, I'm disloyal, right?
It's Nick
if I attack this, I'm like, I hate Trump, right?
no matter your political
That's
background,
crazy.
that the best chance we have to
What a
give our
joke.
babies a better life is on a better country for our children.
Oh, but if I shit on this, I'm disloyal, right? If I attack this, I'm
But
like,
I'm here
I
tonight
hate
to
Trump,
tell
right?
you, no
Nick
matter
Fuentes
your
is such an
political
idiot.
background,
it's
Crazy.
gonna
that
keep,
the
it's
best
gonna
chance
keep
we have
looping.
to
What a
give our
joke.
babies a better life.
Oh, I didn't think it was. I thought it was a full video. Okay.
But so Nick Fuentes, like a few other people, like you were saying, is taking issue with Amber Rose being invited to the RNC to speak in a primetime spot. And what are your thoughts on Nick Fuentes and this political climate in regards to the RNC? Obviously, he's not there, right? Obviously, he's not a keynote speaker at the RNC. I want to make sure I say that. What do you think about his views on this?
Well, his views in general are basically anything he has to say. He's a piece of garbage shit and needs to die. And so yeah, no, he is absolute like filth. And for those who don't know, he is an unrepentant racist.
Yes.
And so there's different types of racists, and like probably the most common type of racist, someone who doesn't know they're a racist. They're like, they have racist ideas, but they don't realize it. Like, you know, they'll be like, they're like, rap is art, totally. And then when their daughter's talking to a black guy, they're like, get rid of him. Right? And so they don't realize that they're being racist. They think they're progressive, but they're not. But Nick Fuentes is an unrepentant, blatant racist. He does not hide it. He knows what it is. We have a video of him, which we're going to show a little later, where he is blatantly proving it.
Right.
Right? And so he is a horrible piece of garbage. He was chased out of the conservative scene a while ago, came back, basically. And nowadays, people are not chasing him off like they used to.
Yeah, and I think so. If we can wax philosophical here for a second, I think this is one of the things that hurts the conservative party. And I'm going to show some grace here, man. People have denounced him, right? They've clearly denounced him, and obviously, one of the things that people use against Trump is during the Charlottesville situation, where they're all nice people. That comment. When in actuality, he wasn't talking about the racists. He was saying, "I'm sure there were good people present."
Yes, because if you actually watch the full thing, before that, he even says, well, I'm not talking about the white supremacists.
Yeah.
But, the other guys, I think they were a bunch of good people, and like that kind of thing. And so obviously the news took the wrong clip. I
think what's happening here is kind of what we saw when Trump in 2016 was at the RNC, and he basically said, he brought up the LGBTQ community, and there was an applause from the RNC, and he was like, a few years ago, you wouldn't have seen that at a Republican convention. They really are trying to, and I'm not saying their reasons are altruistic, they're really trying to galvanize and bring in everyone under the conservative banner. What happens next? I do not know. I am not God. I do not foresee it. But do you think that Nick Fuentes should be more strongly rebuked by mainline conservatives and be cast out to further that process that they're seeing to be headed down?
I'm gonna drop some names and some things, and so this will probably shake people to the core, or they know what I'm talking about. I believe that the Proud Boys are fine, good people, but I do not believe that Nick Fuentes is. That's where I'm drawing the line. Even though they're a nationalistic, militant group, I still think they're not horrible racists. And this guy is a horrible racist, and he should be rebuked on every level.
He suffers from the sin of hatred, right? If you want to get biblical with it, he suffers
and
from
so
the sin
Proud Boys walk the line. They're definitely assholes,
right?
In general, they certainly walk the line, or whatever. But I'm saying they're not unrepentant racists. You know what I'm saying?
What's up, Drew? How you doing, my brother?
What up?
That's a great comment.
He says, "What's up? Glad to see Comics Explained and the Big Man Steve together." Thank you. So D says, "I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm naive, but I do believe a lot of people can have their mind changed if someone with very liberal beliefs, feminist, slut, etc., has an actual logical opinion for once." I believe, I'm a universalist. I believe that every philosophy on earth, there's some part of it which has validity.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I mean, Go ahead. I mean, if you,
But I mean, it's some. Obviously, you have to look around the philosophy.
I
You'll be like, well, this is a good character.
I believe all knowledge is derived from God. I think that there are people. So I'm agreeing with your statement. I would never call myself a universalist because even if I wasn't a Christian, it's like everyone can't be saying the truth, right? But I will say this: Thomas Aquinas is someone that's worth studying because he actually put a good amount of time into trying to understand those Greek philosophers. And he's like, hey, these guys are saying some very, very impactful things. And as Christians, we shouldn't just ignore it because they're not Christians, right? So I agree with you there. And to Pony, yeah, Nick and Kanye were running around. And now I'm going to say something controversial. That is when I said Kanye is on some Real House nigger shit.
Yes, and you were right though. You were absolutely right because he was trying to kiss up to Nazis. That was when he had his whole Alex Jones, and we did a special on that one.
Yeah.
That was great. I love that episode. But yeah, here's what it is. Nick Fuentes knows. You know what it is? He's such a narcissist, and like you guys all know, my theory on content creators, including the members of the Fanboy Modeling School, you have to be some level of narcissist to be into it, to do this line of work. And he's such a narcissist, such a raging one. He knows how to work his way into a conversation that has nothing to do with him.
Oh, yeah. And he also sets scripture below his own political beliefs, which makes him a heretic. Right?
Absolutely.
Which makes him a heretic.
God and therefore scripture has to be above all of it. You always have to be a Christian first. You cannot have a political agenda above Christ.
100%. You want to play this clip?
Yeah, this fucker right here. This one will drive you nuts.
JD Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity? Like, there's a white genocide going on in the world. White people are being systematically replaced in America and Europe through immigration and to a much lesser extent due to intermarrying. This guy has a non-white wife and a kid named Vivek. This guy is going to be a defender of white identity? I don't think so. This guy's going to defend American identity? If he does, it's going to be no better than any of these other civic nationalists like Vivek Ramaswamy. How else could you countenance American identity if you have a mixed up family like that?
So he's no better than Hebrew Israelites,
right,
against a mixed race, right? And so for those who don't know, JD Vance, despite appearing to be the whitest man that ever lived, yes, his wife is Indian, and yes, he has a son named Vivek. And obviously, I'm the child of immigrants. I think interbreeding is like the most American thing you could do,
right?
But so I guess maybe I'm taking it personal, but his level of racism, it's just so disgusting to me. It's absolutely fucking disgusting.
And I can't let Nick Fuentes off, and I can't let this dude off. And notice I didn't call him the brother. I can't let this dude off. Umar Johnson, right? Umar Johnson has the same talking points as Nick Fuentes. They're both separatist, and you either lean into American ideals or you don't, right? You either believe what you espouse or you don't. Or you simply don't. And I think what's happened with Nick Fuentes and how he hurts the Republican or the conservative movement is because this is the clique that people see, and they quickly associate this to the RNC, right? They believe that Nick Fuentes, who has quite the following, those people are also voting conservative. But more than likely, they're voting out of the lesser of two evil quagmire there. And I believe in my heart that the minute that the conservatives are willing to put their best minds against this, and instead of like winking and nodding and nudging against up to it, that's when you'll start to see more people actually commit to a conservative ideal. I would prefer to see people commit to a Christian ideal, but that's not going to happen. I understand Dee's point, and I have a really good friend who believes that conservatism is a pathway to God. And I always say, I say to him, quite frankly, I'm like, Show me that scripture in the Bible. Show me
Well,
where
I mean-
show me where Jesus said, "Hey, just do these things." and
Wait,
you'll
are
be
you
close to me."
serious?
Yeah. There's no conservative path to Christianity. You are either
No, not your belief. You actually know someone who believes that?
oh yeah, 100%. And I'm like, no one else is as confused as Americans when it comes to their religious and spiritual beliefs, man. Listen, an Odinist, someone that believes in Yodin, right? Even if they say it correctly, I've had to correct some people in a place that I don't want to talk about where I was locked. I mean, where I spent some time. I had to correct the dude. I'm like, it's pronounced Yodin. And if you really are,
He didn't know that? A black guy is teaching him how to pronounce Yodin.
I'm like, and if you really believe those things, if you really believe you have a weakling in your group, call that weakling. He's a dishonorable man. He's not good for rating. Show me what you're made of. Show me what you're made of. Go deal with that over there before you come espousing political beliefs to me. And it's the Nick Fuenteses are really hurting the conservative movement. That's my point.
And the fact that you're right, he won't go away. For instance, the other day, I forget what incident it was. It was before the assassination attempt. It was some other crazy thing, and of course, I had to tune in to the Spaces. I'm not addicted to Spaces, but I listen to a lot of Twitter Spaces, particularly at night. And like anytime something political pops off, I gotta listen. Right. And there was one with like a lot of actual like, maybe not important, but people in the conservative world. And you're right. Sure enough, he was in there. And he was talking, and he was having his turn to talk, and no one was telling him to get the fuck out.
Right.
I mean, it's not a good look. Like we said in the green room. Obviously, my argument is that all political parties have their jackbooted thug version of themselves, and so obviously, the Democrats have their Antifa and like all these other assholes who make waves and talk about killing and want to kill the rich or some crazy shit.
Right.
Everyone has it, but you're right. Should we tolerate it? And the reason why politicians tolerate it is they see them as a vote.
Yeah. Can you accept my screen share really quickly?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So on my screen, right? This is what's going on Nick Fuentes' timeline, right? And it's funny, man, because these type of things, these thought problems cause people complete mayhem, right? So obviously one picture is of Gavin Newsom with his family. With his family.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Having a white ass family, but
no, nothing at all. There's nothing wrong with that.
Even their dog is a blonde.
And then we have our new VP, right? And there are people that are taking real issue with it. The person who posted this is replying to Nick Fuentes. He's like, "What went wrong?" And then goated post, right? This person says, "White Dems just lied about caring for diversity and minorities, and profited big time off those lies, while at the same time having nice, profitable careers, social status beyond measure, and having large white families. They played the game to perfection." Yeah.
But you know what the problem with all these people in these comments right now? It would appear that they also believe that conservatism equals whiteness.
Right.
And so they're probably very simple-minded. They're like idiots, right?
Right.
Because, to be honest, obviously both of these are very American. But I got to say, there's nothing un-American about the right image.
No.
It's people from two different groups coming together, but they still have strong family values. I know he's a Christian. I know he's a good man. He fought for this country. Here's what I'm saying. It's not like he's my pick for VP. Like, I love the shit out of the dude. But, he checks the boxes.
Oh, no, he checks the boxes, and he's definitely who Trump is trying to appeal to. He needs to get a stable version of the base. I'm going to show you a video really quickly because I want you to look at the insanity on the left, which I'm sure you're completely aware of. But here we go. And this is great.
Heels of the attempted Trump assassination.
Let's start it over.
Out here on the heels of the attempted Trump assassination, can I get your reaction to what happened the other day?
Well, it's a shame the person missed. I am scared about political violence.
You're scared of political violence, but you were hoping that he wouldn't have missed.
Yes.
Many people are thankful that the shooter missed and could have led to a lot of conflict in the country.
Regardless if Trump is in power or not, he has a lot of influence, and that makes him a very dangerous person, and nothing will stop. And we want to live.
So if all that holds true, do you want to see others try what this young man tried at this Trump rally?
I don't know if it would do any good.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I see you have a crossbow over here. Can you tell me a little bit more about it and why you decided to bring it here? You have I don't know what it is. It looks like a crossbow.
Yeah, it's a pistol crossbow. I don't like firearms. This is a much safer alternative, and it's used only for personal defense as an
I can't wait to
absolute
kill
last
her and
resort.
eat her.
Why did you feel compelled to bring it here? Do you feel unsafe?
Very much so. I'm absolutely terrified.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's the insanity, man. And that's
And you know what? She proves my theory about Democrats.
Okay.
That they're all just triggered women. Even their men are triggered women. Basically, here's what it is: the party is at least run by triggered women. Women are like, "I'm very scared. I'm gonna sleep with a shard-off shotgun, even though I'm against firearms."
Right.
And it's like, what is wrong with you? And like this woman who probably is, like she said, she doesn't like guns, but she just she wished the shooter had missed, which is not only like pro-gun, it's also inhuman.
Right.
And here's what I'm saying. I really don't like Biden. I don't want to see him killed. That's like crazy.
Right.
I just want to see him humiliated for the old ass motherfucker he is.
100%. And look, I got some more insanity to show you. I wanted to give you the night off from Presented because I love that look on Mantis's face when I start showing him the craziness of my algorithm. Here is another thing in preparing for the show tonight. So we were talking about Amber Rose at the RNC. Obviously, there's been a response from the CNN journalists, contributors, whatever they're calling themselves, MSNBC, and I'm just gonna let it rock. You let me know.
Probably the most dangerous speak for the Democratic coalition. That is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent that these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was a bunker buster right there.
So Van Jones commenting on the Amber Rose RNC speech.
She's not a bunker buster. That's a little bit extreme. Like you said, she was popular 10 years ago. People kind of know who she is. I don't think she's not famous, but she certainly isn't. She isn't,
Did you take your drink yet? Because you're about to spit it out your mouth with the next video. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Bust up our coalition.
So it's ironic that they were able to recruit this young woman who, she's a racially ambiguous. I don't want to say she's black because she has said she's not. So I don't want to say this black woman, this woman who is of whatever race that she has claimed. She said she's not black. But they brought somebody whose whole career is based in black culture. She used to be on a show on BET. That's the reason most people know who she is. She dated one of the most
sex tape
prominent
is what
African
made her
rappers
famous
in the business, in the history of hip hop. So her whole culture came from black culture, even though she says
Did you
she's
catch
not
that?
a black person herself. And the fact that she is now the person they're using. So it's ironic.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that?
I feel like she's equating sex workers with
black
culture.
Yeah. So on one side, we got Nick Fuentes proving that there are people that we have to be aware of in the political sphere. If you're thinking about leaning conservative, just know who you're talking to, right? Know when you're talking to someone that has conservative views versus someone that's just a straight up unrepentant racist. But then the left, never letting us down, putting one of their tokens front stage and center, bringing in the racial ambiguity of Amber Rose, who is biracial and chooses to identify as biracial because her father is black, equating black culture to, at the low end of this conversation, hip hop, right?
Yeah, hip hop, right? She fucks rappers and she's a sex worker, so that's black culture. She's using black culture. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And this is You know what it is? I know I bitch about the left so much on our show, and I bitch all the time, but you know what? This is the height of like my real problem with the left. My real problem with the left is it's people like Van Jones and Joy Reid and all these people who are like these intellectuals who don't understand what it is to be a human or have feelings or whatever the fuck what's going on in this human experience of ours, and they break it down into these crazy, they're like, they use big words like, they're like intersectionality and blah 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 and all this shit. She doesn't even fucking know who Amber Rose is,
bro. She's just butthurt that
their analysis.
She's just butthurt that she broke the cardinal rule of not expressing as black and claiming to be biracial. That is pivotal in this conversation. So she broke the cardinal rule. There's only one other thing Amber Rose could have done to really piss her off, which is to backtrack on being pro-choice, right? If Amber Rose got up on that stage and said, you know what, I am completely falling on my face in front of Christ. I denounce everything that I've ever done. Sex work is deplorable. Abortion is deplorable. That woman right there, all she would have heard is that this woman is turning against the pink.
Right. They'd be like, she's indoctrinated or brainwashed or something, right?
Right.
Just because she goes against the narrative. Because once again, the problem with these blacks, Joy Reid and Van Jones, is they only think you're black if you're obsessed with blackness. You're obsessed with the division, identity culture, identity politics, and all this other shit. And so if you're a person who's just chilling like the average person, then you must be a traitor to your people.
So here's the crazy thing, right? This level of scrutiny only lends itself to black people, right? Or, people of color in a certain demographic. Get ready for me to bring up my favorite talking point and why I have no respect for the left. They had shit to say when they were parading Linda Sassoon, a Sharia believing Muslim, around at the women's rally. But do you know what Linda Sassoon believes?
If she believes in Sharia, she's no feminist.
Yeah, she's anti-abortion, right? Right. She does not believe in women empowerment in regards to sex work or any of those things. And
being a girl boss, she can't believe in being a girl boss, right?
No, at all. But the left is so terrified to call out because all they can say is they're brown, so they're in with us. But in actuality, this group completely disagrees with everything you're saying. You are a footstool that they are using to further their own agenda.
I gotta say it again. I'll bring it up all the time, but Islam was right about women. that whole brain twister, that when you say that to a liberal, they're offended, but they're not allowed to say why they're offended. Right. Because they then have to admit that Islam is critical and holds women down compared to Western culture.
Yes.
Right. But they don't want to admit that because, once again, if you're an oppressed minority, everything you do is golden and magical. Right. And you're right. You're right, bro. I should have said that. I was in a debate with someone famously in their Discord, and they pulled me into this debate, and I just laid it out. I was like, yeah, liberals are terrified of Muslims, and here are the facts, and here's why I know they're terrified of Muslims. But I should have just said, well, do you believe that Islam is right about women? like, do you believe that? Catalyst says, but don't worry, guys. Dems can just don the kente cloth and all will be well and good again. Exactly. Like when they bow to the Black Caucus, and they're like, put on African garb. They're like, what is it? I don't know. Wearing a dashiki, wearing a hat. We got Chuck Schumer, the whitest, most Jewish man ever, wearing a fucking turban and a scarf, bowing down to the Black Caucus. It's such pandering. It's so absurd, and that's the whole thing. I just want to be like, yo, guys, have some respect for yourself. Fucking respect for yourself. Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness, man. So I don't know how true any of this is, man, but a breaking story tonight before we went on the show. They took down a shooter at the RNC. So what's up with that?
I don't know the story. I think you put it in. You want me to?
All right. If you want to put us in presentation mode, I have a video, and again, this is just breaking news. So we don't know if they've confirmed that any violence was intended towards people attending the RNC. We'll get to it right now.
You sent it to me?
Yeah, I sent it to you. It is directly above the I set up Rumble message you sent me.
Put it up.
Catalyst says, "LO, I'm fucking dead." Bro, you know what? You know who's been strangely silent on this in certain sectors of the internet? The revolutionary black community. They have been really silent on the assassination attempt on Trump. And I went there looking for smoke. I wanted to hear all the smoke, and they're not saying anything. In fact, one place I go to constantly, they were actually doing a presentation on the similarities between, I believe it's Karl Marx and Frederick Douglass, which I found to be quite blasphemous. But
I'm already disgusted.
But nothing to do with the Trumpian assassination.
So here's my problem with these groups. So typically, like the Black Caucus or like these nationalist black groups, they don't have an actual tangible solution to stuff. So they'll tell you the Democrats lie to you and fool you with bullshit. Right. However, the Republicans are racist and they secretly still hold on to these values and they're not good to listen to. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, so what's the answer? And they just stare at you. and so is the answer that as a black man I shouldn't vote? What is the correct answer? Should I vote for a third party? Is there a third party that's even a chance? See what I'm saying?
A lot of them are socialists, so they believe in socialist parties, like the People Party and thing of that nature. You'd be really surprised how many of them are immersed into real socialism as the solution. Power to the people is their solution. All power should be reverted to the people.
So they probably here's the thing. You know what they might be silent about? They probably want a revolution, and it's probably got to be bloody.
Yeah, man. Everyone wants to be in war until they get there.
Right, but they might say, this is the first step, and the better solution is to shoot them both.
Good point.
Right, is to shoot them both. And so that's what it is. And here's what I'm saying. When I was a young upstart and I was a little more rebellious, I love third parties. I love intangible ideas. I love radical ideas that change society. And I hate to sound like an old curmudgeon, but like I just after a while was like, what am I doing? I'm getting nowhere. I'm trying to run up up an escalator or something.
And you know what I love? You know what I love most when we do these episodes, these really politically charged episodes, is that I don't have a solution either, other than the one that I say nearly any time we get into these conversations. You should do what you believe, right? If you espouse a worldview that says America, one America, and America first, then that is a very high principle. And if we all could agree that it was America first and America should be united, then in that unity, that should solve all problems across the board. Racial division, equality division, pay gap division, right? All of those things, we should be unified in the ideal of this great country. But America has not quite lived up to that dream. And that's where I diverge from a lot of people. But I can't plant myself firmly in the view of a revolutionary person. And here's why. The people who often get on these mics and speak about revolutions have never lived through one. And they don't know how bloody they are. And you are calling to arms young men and women or others to die for an ideal that I'm not convinced that you're willing to die for. I'm not convinced that a lot of these talking heads are willing to do what the Panthers did or what our forebears did during the civil rights movement. I don't believe they have the stones to stand out there and get bit by a German Shepherd and
then hose down with like high pressure water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Are you willing? And you know what it is? It's like, and we're guilty of this too. We live in the most sheltered, time in history, right?
Yeah.
And so, because back in the day when somebody was when a Black Panther was fighting, they had no other choice.
Right.
The government had them against the fence, and they had nowhere else to go but to fight. Right. And so here we've got our Xboxes and our internet and our fucking, our Uber whores that we can call to our house. And so And so, are they really ready for if in a real revolution that's going to go away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All those infrastructures, your microphone, your internet, all that gets shut down the minute that revolution starts. Now, I'm not saying that the system isn't corrupt, but I can have that viewpoint because I believe in the inherent evil of men, of mankind. I believe in the inherent evil of mankind. You, on the other hand, believe that men can be their best selves. And so your viewpoint doesn't mesh up, but I digress. If you want to play the clip.
Okay, I'm coming.
So this is supposed to be footage,
It's near the RNC where the events tonight are happening. Apparently, they shot someone. What was he doing? He was wielding a gun?
I guess so.
What is that?
Well, that's why people are creeping through. Look, we have bicycle cops out there.
Bicycle and horse cops. Fuck 'em.
Got the freaking Mounties. Why is it taking so long for these guys to get their gear on?
This is why school shooters get away with it.
Didn't not climb up the time I was on the roof like this.
This is
Yeah.
literally.
This is just-
Do we know anything about the details or anything, or what?
No, it's still breaking. And actually, give me a sec. I'll read the article that I was reading earlier because I don't want to play any CBS stuff because they copyright us anytime we play their shit.
Right.
Which is crazy because it's supposed to be fair use. All right, let's see here. Milwaukee man dead after being shot by 5 Ohio police officers near RNC. 5 police officers from Columbus, Ohio, shot and killed an armed man early Tuesday afternoon just west of downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman said the shooting occurred near North 14th and West Vlett Streets, just under a mile from the security perimeter for the Republican National Convention. No Milwaukee police officers were involved. Oh, okay.
Well, that's shady. So out of town cops shot this guy.
13 Columbus police officers were in the area for a briefing when they saw an altercation between 2 people, one of whom was holding a knife in each hand, according to preliminary information provided by Norman late Tuesday. The officer ordered the man to drop the knives, he said. The man did not do so and then suddenly charged at the other individual. Oh, so this was just like a local skirmish. This has nothing to do
It
with
just happens to be close to the RNC thing. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
I thought there was like another gunman, another attempt. So the question I have for you, do you think another attempt is coming?
I hope not, man. And I'm glad we're ending it this way, man. My prayers really will be for refrain and restraint, that God restrains the hearts of confused and angry people and realize that it's not the path, man. It's not the path. I'm praying against that. I'm hoping, but nothing surprises me where we're at socially nowadays, man. And in fact, you know what, bro? I'm so happy it wasn't a blue-haired feminist trans person, because that would have kicked, even if the attempt, it was still failed, that would have kicked shit off. I'm so happy it wasn't a black man or a brown man, or that would have kicked off and validated so much shit, man.
You know, that's why I think it's the DNC.
Do you think so?
That did it. You know what it is? Because they always pick their fall guy, and they purposely pick someone who, like, we can't easily say. Because here's what it is. If it was Antifa, we would be having a field day. The news would be having a field day, and the Dems would look stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could say they have a weaponized army on their side, right? So it wasn't one of them, and it can't be a black person, right? So it can't be a person of color at all. No. Because we don't know how that would look, right?
Right.
Somehow it's a guy who's registered Republican ends up on that roof.
Right.
With normally apolitical opinions, and he's not very political. He donated a little to Biden once. He donated to Biden even though he's a Republican. Young idiot. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know why? Because, like, there's two ways of thought of that. They would think someone who, like me or you, who are political creatures, would be more likely to be a shooter. However, I think some people would say the counterpoint is, no, you let your political frustrations out by live streaming.
Right.
Talk about your issues. This is a kid who doesn't have an
outlet
way to let it out.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's no indication at all what his political leanings were is just so weird.
Yeah, now we're getting the reports that it might have been an Iran situation. There might have been some Iranian involvement, or not involvement with it. There was some intelligence that came out that there was a plot that might not have been associated or related to this.
I do believe there is definitely a plot against Trump from Iran. However, I don't think this was it. Like, for instance, because remember, we still have the questions of why did the Secret Service fail on like 5 different levels. And that to me strikes me as an American government problem.
And 100%. If I was to lean into a conspiratorial thought process on this, I would definitely say it was an inside job, right? I'm just not in the camp where I believe this. All right, I'm not giving Trump that much credit that he was able, with all the public scrutiny that he has on him right now, able to pull something like this off. And then also,
oh yeah, no, that would be a masterful. That he took a head wound.
Yeah.
To get to, oh, that would be massive. But yo, remember, it's our cover tonight. That picture.
Yeah.
The fact that someone caught that picture, that almost seems unreal. I don't even believe.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Of
with
him
you.
being like, and there's a flag floating behind him.
Oh, and yo,
my God.
We got to talk about. I know we got to end, man, but
yo, you could do something.
We got to talk about the idiocy allowed to be espoused on the internet, because yes, you have the right to say whatever you want, man. But Amanda Seales, please come to the front of the congregation. As Charlemagne the God says, you need to stop, man. You need to stop, because you have a following. You have people who look to you,
right?
For
I know what you're talking
clarity,
about.
and you just, man. Okay, let me get the videos queued up. Talk to the people for a second, because I cannot let this type of idiocy go unchecked.
So, Amanda Seales is an actress. What was she from?
She was on that show. I forgot the name of the friggin' show.
Anyway, the point is, she's a low level actress, but on her TikTok, she espoused essentially that this is a Donald Trump conspiracy, and so that he faked all this, and she claims she knows. Remember, nowadays we're all armchair. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone's an armchair specialist. Apparently nowadays people are armchair espionage agents.
Right.
And she knows if something's fake. Here's the thing. Last week, everyone would swear that Donald Trump was the worst actor in the world. There is no way, in my opinion, that he could act so realistic, because he definitely was a man in distress there, right?
Right.
And she didn't believe that he had the strength to be like, fight. I have to say, the one thing that he does have, he might be a bad actor, but he is a willful son of a bitch.
Oh yeah. That was
He's gonna die. When he finally dies, he is gonna be cursing that person out as he dies. He's gonna be like, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" And he's gonna die at the young, ripe age of 300, because all the scientists he pays are gonna keep him alive, machines and shit.
Right. When you get a chance, brother, just yeah.
What up, Lo? Welcome to the stream.
Lo, welcome in. We're
rapist.
Here we go.
Oh, wowzers. She started with that.
I want to remind everybody that when you see all these politicians, all these Democrats saying like prayers for Donald Trump, and I mean like Obama, Biden, etc., just to point out, they ain't say none of that about all the people that they're actively harming every day in Palestine. But wait, before you go anywhere, this man is a known rapist. Yes. This man is a known sexual assaulter.
Is he?
So why y'all be over here trying to virtue signal? And I can't believe y'all talking about this so loosely. I mean, a man was attempted to be shot. Like, I need you to stop for a second. It's not just a man. It's a particular person. The way y'all be conjuring up compassion for those who do not deserve it. but completely turning a blind eye to those who do is disgusting and
Can
also
you pause it
indicative
for a
of how
second?
you are continuing to prop up white supremacy.
Oh, go ahead.
So this is what happens in secular circles where people think that humanism is going to get them through the day. What
Right.
it is that, you know, this cancel culture and these secularists who create their own morals in it, they have human morals. And those when you have a humanist moral that is from your own compass, you have things like wrath and pettiness, and you don't have grace and you don't have mercy.
100%.
And so even if he was a convicted, let's say he was a convicted rapist, right? Which he is not. But let's say he was. He still deserves the compassion of not being murdered in front of his followers.
Bro,
Right?
No, 100%, man. And even more importantly, man, an innocent man died protecting his family there, right? At a certain point, it's not just conjuring up concern for what happened to Trump. It's conjuring up concern for what almost happened to the country, right? Amanda Seals is going to be fine in her condo for at least a week when the revolution kicks off, right? She's not going down into the streets fighting anything. She's not doing any of that, right? And that's where these people really annoy me. I think this is the clip that kicked it all off.
I think it's the one I saw. These amateurs, man.
Yeah.
They don't have lives
So what
here.
y'all think? Apparently 2 people are dead, including the shooter. They shot him in the ear. But a sniper could do that. And it's real easy to just say, like, 2 people are dead.
Bitch is already drunk.
So we all agree it was staged.
Who would let a sniper shoot that close to your head? Like, they've been reading too many comic books, man.
Eargate is nuts. I don't think he got hit by a bullet. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But we are.
I know what I just want to see if I can find a way.
Hey, teachers. If y'all are wondering why I make so many videos,
What's your favorite food around here? She removed it. So there was the initial video that came out that got her the mire of
I think she was lying down. You know,
yes.
she's talking
And
shit.
like even DJ Academics came out and cooked her because he was like, you are so bought into your own political bubble in the world that you live in that you can't understand that this was not staged. If I'm going to lean into a conspiracy theory, yeah, they tried to clip him. But the conspiracy theory I'm not leaning into is, oh yeah, he did this himself to already garner more votes and popularity than he had while dealing with a dead man who's running for president. That's what I'm gonna leave it. Amanda Seals is, I feel bad for her, man. Like I really do, man, because I know she loves her people. I really do, but yo, she's crazy, son. She's
Yo,
absolutely
Catalyst says she's clearly a firearms expert.
yes, 100%. 100%, man. And also, there are nights where I'm like, man, me and Mantis really didn't bring our best on the stream. I'm like, we were unprofessional. We took pauses. But I look at some of her streams. I'm like, oh, we're doing great, bro. We're doing absolutely.
We are the most professional motherfuckers in this industry right now. And so you see all these people. Yeah, you know. Oh, man, I see some horrible stuff. You're right. Large pauses, clearly being drunk, clearly being belligerent.
Not that there's anything wrong with being drunk on stream. Sometimes you got to elevate your mind. But you got to do it the way the Mantis and Steve do it, you know?
Cheers to that.
Let me just see one more thing. Let's see what she said.
Y'all remember Jeffrey Epstein? The guy that had the island with the virgin little kids that you could come and have sex with when you wanted to? You know, a lot of his records were unsealed. Donald Trump went on Fox News and they said, hey, are you going to declassify this event? He said, yes. How about 9/11? You're going to declassify it? Everybody can read. He said, yes. He said, okay, what about those Epstein files? You want to declassify them? Trump said, hell no. They were released anyway. A 13-year-old tells a story about he gets on top of her and rapes her. And she cries and begs, please, don't ejaculate in me. What if I get pregnant? He still does. He gets off of her. She cries, oh my God, if I'm pregnant. He throws money in her face and says, get a fucking abortion and stop crying to me. What the fuck do I care for? That happened. A woman testified.
I bet you
that's what happened to her. Donald Trump wasn't up for going to jail. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just tell on Epstein time. People was dropping the celebrities that they had dealings with. The nigga that you're going to vote for because you think he gave you $1,200. At this point, if you talk like that, don't even talk to me because you're slow. Y'all are beyond slow with this shit. Donald Trump didn't give you PUA. You scammed for it. Donald Trump didn't give you a PPP. You scammed for it. Those scams are still available now, just a little harder to do. You could do some research. Donald Trump didn't give you a stimulus. Donald Trump don't give a fuck about a nigga. He'll pay a rapper. Right? Do y'all know?
Yeah.
So someone I know also was like, he's on the Epstein files. So I looked it up. I tried to fact check it online. I could not find any fact checking site that says yes, he's in the Epstein files.
So I remember the footage that came out of him and Epstein back in the day, and then like of them like they're at a party conversing with each other, and then there was a public speaking engagement where Donald was talking about Clinton, and he's like, he's got real problems with that island situation. And again, I'm just using some deductive logic here, man. If I in any way, shape, or form was associated to that island situation, guess what I wouldn't be bringing up at a public rally? I would not be talking about the island situation. Now, she made a claim that y'all are slow, right?
Right.
I like a lot of podcasts, and that's a chick called from a podcast, Don't Call Me White Girl, and she's funny. There's some people who should not weigh into these waters, man. And there was actually a report listed the other day about misinformation being given to African Americans by way of public mediums like the internet and podcasts and things of that nature. Some of y'all need to take a break from the internet. Like, you need to stop clicking on every link you see on Facebook. Like, just that's my point.
I mean, speaking of industry plants, like, I gotta say that, like, for instance, my brother, he went to a friend's house, his wife's college buddy, and she's married to like one of these. He's not really a Hebrew Israelite, but he subscribes to a lot of their stuff.
Oh boy!
And he was trying to explain to my brother why he shouldn't vote as a black man.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's just going on and he's explaining all these things. He's like, this is how they control you. So if you really want to get down, you don't vote. And I'm like, yo, some industry plant told this motherfucker this, and he fell for it. Probably some guy pretending to be a Hotepa online on YouTube or something.
Right.
But why would you try to convince your own people not to vote?
Bro, it's and to what end, man? It surprises me that your brother would even be associated with like a Hebrew Israelite, man.
Trust me, he did not enjoy it. Because remember, this is his wife's college friend she hadn't seen in years.
Right.
And they went to visit them for the weekend. So, obviously he would not let that dude hang out if he was in his life,
I got one more clip for the folks, and then we're out of here because I got some Acolyte to get into.
Acolyte!
But we got to see DJ Academic's response to Amanda Seales because it's actually worth $1 million. Let me see if
more staged than a Tyler Perry production of Medea Runs for President.
This is why, like, some of y'all are so glued into whatever political view y'all have, y'all dismiss reality. Wake up!
It's something when Amanda Seales got me out here agreeing with DJ Academics, but her hot take on this Trump assassination attempt being staged, so ridiculous. The Academics just had to go in on her, and I wholeheartedly agree. Just wait till you get all the facts and then come out and say something, like we still don't know if it might have been a piece of glass, it might have been the real thing, but who knows? If you don't know, why do you get on your platform with millions of followers and just say anything?
And that's my point.
I can't believe she has millions of followers.
She doesn't, but and then that's my point exactly, man. Like, and she later had to retract it. She has another video up that says new intel where she realizes that he had actually been shot, that it wasn't a piece of glass, it wasn't a BB gun. Like, this shit actually happened. And these same people, I'm warning you folks right now, these same people, when the revolution kicks off, they're going to be the ones that lead you to death. Because they don't have the strength to organize. They don't know what it takes to start a revolution. They don't know what it takes to maintain the infrastructure after said revolution. They are speaking from their ivory towers, and they're calling for you to be the blood of the revolution.
That's the problem with the left, because the most of the mouthpieces of the left, obviously all their chess pieces are hardworking, innocent people.
Right.
However, the ones who are speaking are what we call champagne socialists. They're
right.
rich people who are like have what do they call them? Luxury beliefs.
Right.
A luxury belief is that you're like, yeah, boy, we should have open borders, but you live in a suburb where they would never bring migrants to your house, your thing.
And you charge for your speaking engagement, so you're not bringing information to the people, right? You're not bringing it for free. And she actually says that on one of her posts. Please stop DMing me for free speaking engagements. This is my livelihood. And I'm just like, some revolutionary you are. Let me compare you against the great revolutionaries of the past. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Malcolm X died poor.
Right.
Poor.
Because that knowledge is for the people. You know, as remember from the movie when he's like, don't blame this brother. This brother's just thirsty. He's thirsty for knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. And so, that would be her attitude. But she's charging. It makes her even a worse person. You know?
Yeah. That's all I got, man. Another great episode of Fanboy Modeling School. Mantis, we're about to get into the last episode of Acolyte, the thing that's really going to kick off the Civil War. Are you ready for this shit, man?
I'm totally not. Trust me. If and when this fails me, because I've been talking a big game this whole season, and if this episode doesn't come through,
Shaolin just hit us in the private chat, and it was he sent 2 side eyes.
He's seen it, didn't he? That's why he was silent this episode. He said hi to us, and then he watched the episode, which I get it. No hatred, brother, but
yeah.
Okay, we're going in. We're
going in, folks. You know where to catch Steve Thursday and Sunday nights. Mic check, RizRadio.com. It's your home for hip hop commentary. I'm there breaking it all down, the goings-ons of the week. And if you're really lucky and I'm just feeling so drained from all the buffoonery in hip hop, I occasionally do a lovely segment called This Day in Hip Hop History, which I really enjoy.
And of course, you can catch me every Sunday at 6 to 10 p.m. where I break it down on a little show called Burn Your Degree, where I talk about revolutionary ideas to expand your mind. But really, it's mostly just tomfoolery and fucking around. Plus, we got today's best music. You're hearing it all. Anything from Taylor Swift all the way to my man Usher. We have it all. And then, of course, every weekday night at 6 to 10 p.m., you got a replay of this episode of Fanboy Modeling School. We're on all week. So if you haven't had enough of this, you can catch us on Riz Radio over on RizRadio.com. But this is the Fat Mantis signing off, and my man
Steve, real name, no gimmicks.
Until next time, ciao for now, bitches. Peace.